All right. I just I got to confess, you guys probably saw that. I was walking quickly out of the shot, on a tank top, and it's pretty hot right here, so uh, I needed to look presentable. So there you go. I put this nice golf shirt for you guys. Wonderful. Welcome on board. Guys, this is Jader Salazar. I am the founder of Black Label Closers, and we are dedicated to help people become exceptional in high ticket sales, exceptional salespeople, period. All right, closers, setters, and closers. Setters are closers as well, right? You can join our community on school.com. You can look for Black Label Closers, become part of the community, ask questions, jumpstart conversations, and get help. You can sign up for a free course. It's going to give you a ton of information. It's going to help you get your feet wet. And if you really want to play the game a little more aggressive, then you can go to our free course, valued at $1,000. However, you only have to make a $97 financial commitment. It's $1,000, but you can get it for $97. Trust me. And I want to be able to give you something that is real solid that you guys can learn from. And if you really want to start playing the game and sell high ticket, you can become my partner through the partnership program, where you and I will share 50% of the profits. All right, 50%. You're not gonna get any. You're not going to get that anywhere. All right. Guarantee you. And you can further your education with high ticket sales. All right. You want to make $200,000 within the next 3 to 4 months. In other words, train for a couple of months, get a campaign, and start averaging within 2 months $300,000. Then you have to start playing the game aggressively, and you have to make changes proactively, because AI is threatening everything. And as I've explained before, high ticket sales is a human to human business. Most people are not okay with having an AI agent who's not a human being talk about experiences that they have not experienced, because they are not human. It's a robot at best, right? Some people have claimed that there's something else, but for sake of our conversation here, it's a machine, it's a robot. There's no way that a robot can understand what it feels to have to deprive your family from basic things that most people cannot afford nowadays. And the only way they can is through debt, getting into credit card debt. And then at the end, 80% of the people that have credit cards file for bankruptcy within a lapse of time of 15 years. So people buy things they cannot afford, right? So now, to add insult to the injury, AI is going to take people's jobs, and then what? The world is going to be a lot more competitive as far as obtaining jobs. So play the game proactively, anticipate. That's always the best. Be disciplined, anticipate, and start learning a craft, a trade that can get you to start making a couple of $100,000. It's a $50 billion a year industry. Within the next 3 years, is going to be $250 billion of an industry. There's going to be plenty of money for those that, because once that time comes where most people do not have the job, right, or jobs, and if you have a gig that's paying you $200,000, trust me, you're not gonna let it go, right? So pay close attention to that. It's very important. We have these open house trainings every Tuesday and Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, I don't know how else to help. All right, I'm probably the only kid on the block that's doing what I'm doing with the with the with no fees, with no upfront investment, and getting you guys to start getting some real information and education in this field quickly. All right, so let's do it. All right, we got some people in the house. We got the usual suspects. So thank you very much, Rose, for attending. Thank you, Pantera. Really appreciate it. Thank you for being here. We got Aldemar, who's here as well. Thank you very much. Mars is here. Venture to Excel, welcome. Glad to have you here. Joey, glad to have you here. So Rose, Pantera, Aldemar, Mars, Venture, and Joey. A wonderful crowd to have around. All right. We'll probably see more people popping. Excellent. So let's get to the nitty gritty. We only have 30 minutes. So right now we have 20 minutes. So let's spend at least 10 minutes on two very gravy, two subjects with a lot of gravy on it. All right. So we're going to talk about, let me get the titles right here so that we make sure that we give you the right title. Okay. Essentials to prevent problems at the time of closing. The title speaks for itself. You want to eliminate as many problems. That's the objective of someone who's closing a deal, from opening the door all the way through the closing, right? So you have to be always alert and anticipating. So how are we going to do this? Be preemptive when finding objections. All right, this is something that, so I remember I was sitting in a crowd that was being trained, or not, that they were making sales and they were training. The training was the team was training itself. So they didn't have someone with experience. They didn't have someone with the capacity to be able to take these guys to the next level. And I was sitting in the midst. I was looking at the possibility to help him out. And we were looking at phone calls and to understand some of the problems that guys have so I can correct them. And I said, so there was one guy who was supposed to be the best salesperson they had. And I said to the guy, this guy came from a big training company, from a guy who's been in everybody's mouth lately, probably for the past 3 years, made a lot of money in this industry, sold just about, I'd say probably 80% of the people. I've taken before, and I've said this before, I've taken people from his training programs that can't sell anything. I'm not saying the guy is not good. I'm pretty sure the guy is unbelievably gifted in sales. He's just not helping people the way, to charge $12,000. I feel bad, I really do, because a lot of the people that I train after, I got a team of about 7 people, and periodically we would get new hires that came from the same training. And these were guys that were struggling. I mean, people that some of those people asked their parents for some money. Some of those people got into their savings that they put together with the spouse, with the wife, it was for the most part guys, with their spouse, their wife. putting money on credit cards, and they got into accounts, and the best they did was collecting partial payments. So this guy was one of those guys getting partial payments rarely, and it was not even a high ticket, like really high ticket. It was like $3,000 ticket. I don't consider that to be necessarily a high ticket. I know a lot of people do. To me, high ticket is more than $10,000, but conceptually speaking, high ticket is anything. I think it's above $500. Ridiculous, but that's what they consider high ticket. So this guy was collecting partial payments, and I was looking at these people, and one of my suggestions, I said, why are you guys, because the guy got into an appointment with someone who was married and the wife wasn't there. So I asked the guy, why did you not ask the guy? I'm sorry, let me rephrase. I have trained this guy, I pulled him aside, and I told him, when you see someone and you're having a conversation with someone, make sure that you tear down any possibilities at the end of the close. You eliminate problems. One of the ways that you eliminate problems is by asking them if they're married. When I said that, the guy who was supposed to be the best of the team protested and said, why would you bring an objection why would you bring an issue that's not an issue yet? Wow. What a colossal mistake. First of all, let's establish what your job is as a setter and as a closer for that matter. Your job is your job. Your job is to eliminate problems at the end. It's not the job of the prospect to give you all the solutions. It's not the job of the prospect to say to you, I am married or I have a business partner, because here's what happens. If you think this is the problem with salespeople. Instead of being closers, they are afraid. They're always afraid of bringing something that will be sensitive to the call. I bring everything that's sensitive to the call. All right. I was actually explaining that sometimes I tell people to call me back if they're not ready for the call. If one of the business partner that was supposed to be there is not ready for the call, and they want me to start the conversation with 50% of the team, and then just wait it out until start the conversation until the other party comes back. I'm never going to do that. I'm going to tell them, listen, man, you're not ready. I'll give you 5 minutes. Call me back. Don't take 20 minutes because I'm not going to take the call. Here's the problem. If you take the call after 20 minutes, you probably have closes down the line, and this is going to move everything down, and you're going to be late. You're going to look unprofessional because you have someone, sticking you out for the appointment. So salespeople, and I'm talking about good salespeople, skillful, are afraid of losing sales. Don't be afraid of losing sales. Be willing to lose sales to close more deals. Plain and simple. So you will never wait until the end when you're asking for the credit card on $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, right? And you want to stay, you don't want to mention anything because you want that first call to be maximized to the best, and never mention that they have to have the decision maker there, so that at the end of the call, guess what they're going to tell you? And it's the perfect excuse. I need to talk to my wife. I need to talk to my husband about this. If you're preemptive as far as the objections, trust me, you are going to kill the Martians. I will explain at some point what the Martians are, what they mean. Martians are basically objections that are trying to invade Earth. And your job is to kill all the Martians, kill all the objections that you have in front of you. If you allow an objection to get you from the back, that objection is going to kill you by the time you close. All right. Reputation. Why are you going to bring reputation? We might have, dirt out there. We might have negative comments. Everybody has negative comments. As long as the account that you're working for is not under investigation by the FTC, or what's worse, the FBI, or your trainer, your name brand has been in prison for embezzlement or scamming people or being sued because he's not fulfilling it. And this is your responsibility when you're going to get hired. You need to make sure that you're working with clean people, ethical people, so you don't have the problem. So one of the things that I do is when I'm setting up an appointment to myself, when I'm setting closing, when I'm into closing, I tell people, you do research. You need to do research. Why would you bring that up? I do, because I want to kill a Martian. I don't want the guy when he's ready to give me the $20,000 to tell me, look, Jader, I really want to do this, but I don't know you guys. I need to go do research. The whole research thing, if he's a little bit shaky, he's going to just read a negative comment, something that has nothing to do with the reputation, just someone who's mad and posted a bad comment, and he's going to use that as a pretext not to invest the money. But if he reads that first and I get the clear, and he tells me, everybody's got, negative stuff. I didn't really see anything that concerns me, anything that tells me that ABC is not a reputable company. I saw all these wonderful comments and these great reviews. I would trust you with, I have trust in you. I just want to know what this is about, right? That's different. The wife is there because you already took that objection and handled it without having to ask, right? What about your wife? So you're married? Great. Sometimes you're gonna get into those conversations and they sound like you're just doing small talk, but in reality, you're pocketing those bullets so you can put them in your chamber and be able to shoot, right? That's very important, guys, that you do that, all right? That you always stay on point, that you never, objections like, for instance, I don't have enough money for this. Well, here's what salespeople do. Because they're afraid of asking if people have money in the beginning of the call. They're afraid. They don't know how to do it. I have a system that's perfect to find out if people have money without even them knowing that they're giving the information about money. If I don't know if people have money, how am I going to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours with someone to close them for $10, $20, $30,000 if I don't know if they have money? I have to have that conversation. Now, the way most people do it is they ask straight up, do you have $30,000 to invest? Buyers are liars because they protect themselves from salespeople that are unscrupulous and who are trying to just get to their pocket. So you have to have strategy to be able to find that money, and they'll give it to you. No problem. They'll just unfold the information. You have to know how to do it, and that's one of the things that's one of the secret parts of the recipe, guys. How to find money without them, and you know exactly how much they have. So once you understand that they have enough money on their credit cards, and they're telling you, because if I ask somebody, if somebody were to ask me if I have $200,000 to invest. I don't have $200,000 to invest. But if somebody asks me, do you have access to $200,000? I have access to $200,000 for sure. Just not my money, right? A lot of people do not have cash in the bank account. They have access to that money. If you're not asking the right questions, you're not going to be able to get to the right place. So never ask, do you have X amount of money to invest? Don't ask that money. Ask them if they have access, right? Do you have access to money? All right. What kind of access do you have? Now, I don't want to spoil it because I have a precise way to get there. But if you ask this question, make sure if you have enough, because sometimes you talk to people who don't have any credit cards, right? And they start kind of being nervous. But here's what's interesting. When I talk to these people, I build myself so much. They have respect me so much, and they're so impressed with me that they start to stutter because they don't want to not give me the information, but they don't feel comfortable giving me the information. And at the end, I tell them, listen, I'm not going to do anything. In some cases, not all of them. When they feel a little bit, when I can tell they're rigid about it, I say, listen, if you tell me you have $1 million, there's nothing I can do with that information. It's not like I'm magically going to transfer $1 million over to me or to this company. We're your guidance. We are trying to guide you into the right place. So open up and tell me what you have at your disposal. Well, how much money do you have access to? So, well, I inherited money. I got a couple of $1 million, or I put some money together. I have about $70,000. They end up telling me that. Trust me, they do. All right. So you got to be slick in the way you do this. All right. Be preemptive. Kill objections before they arrive. Because when you have that conversation about, and the prospect tells you, I need to bring my wife, now you're going to have to kind of push him into giving you that credit card, and he's not going to give you the credit card. And now you have to wait for the wife to approve. The wife was never there. You can never build rapport with her, build posture with her. She's and frankly, he's not going to go to her and explain how great of a company and the person you are. He's just going to say, hey, I have this great opportunity. I think this is the right group. I need to invest $20,000. What do you think? She's going to go, no, you're not going to invest $20,000. Who are these people? Why are you investing? She's going to be defensive, especially if it's husband to wife. Women are very, very protective of their money. If it's wife to husband, husbands have an ego, and you're going to invest what? Without my consent? No. Who are these people? And I noticed that husbands get upset because they're not taken into consideration for the call. And all they do is say, I don't want to talk to them, but you're not investing the money that you're telling me you're going to invest. So tell them, no, thank you, and hang up. So you kill that Martian from the beginning. Be preemptive. All right. The next subject at hand is be on the lookout for false DMs or decision makers. What does that mean, guys? You're talking to a woman, very smart, very independent, and you ask her if she's married. She says no. And since you're going to dig a little deeper, you're not just going to say, don't just say, are you married and do you have a business partner? Those two questions are very close-ended. You got to be careful because sometimes they have a fiancé, someone who's a spouse. They just haven't signed the document. They still don't call each other spouses, and they have a child or two children. And they still call themselves each other boyfriend and girlfriend to each other. So you got to make sure you go all the way in asking. That's preemptive, right? Being preemptive of thought. But you're talking to someone who doesn't have a fiancé, who's not married, and all of a sudden she says, "Well, yeah, no, I'm not married, and I don't have a business partner. I don't have a fiancé, but I've been going out with this guy. He's my boyfriend. We've been going out for 6 months. Very smart guy. He's into the car business. He's got a dealership, and he's investing into properties and stuff. And I want him to be there to help me with this endeavor, with this discovery. I want to make sure that he helps me make a good decision." What do you think? What do you guys, if you guys want to chime in, go ahead and chime in, guys. All right. And let me know if you guys would just schedule an appointment. Is that a DM? Is that a decision maker? All right. I'm going to let it simmer for a little bit. Is the boyfriend, who is not a fiancé, who doesn't live with her, They have been going out for 6 months, and he's really smart because he have a car dealership and he's investing into properties. Is he a decision maker? The answer is he's not. He's not a decision maker. Let's see, maybe somebody is saying something here. Paul is here. All right, cool. Blah, 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 blah. Hi. Okay, perfect. Hi, Paula. Thank you for coming. Welcome. Um, so the why is he not a decision maker? She wants him in the call. He, she said that she admires his perspective and how smart he is in business, but he is going to help her make that decision. Is he? He's not a decision maker, and he's not a decision maker simply because a he's not part of the process of her livelihood. He doesn't determine, maybe he's got potential power to do that. But the way she just mentioned that he is someone, she didn't say he's my business partner. So here's how I would deal with that. As soon as she tells me that the boyfriend is, I'm going to ask some qualifying questions. I'm going to ask her, okay, does your boyfriend give you money for mortgage to pay your mortgage? No. Do you give him money to pay his mortgage? No. Do you guys buy each other's groceries? No. Do you guys buy cars depending on how much the other person likes the car? No. So he's not your partner. He's not your business partner, correct? And she said, she would have said at that point, yes, I mentioned that he's not my business partner. I'm going to tell her, I apologize, but um, our process is so information sensitive. I cannot have a third party there who's not part of the process, who's not potentially going to be part of the process. Your boyfriend is not the person I need to talk to or have him around because we're going to talk about things that pertain to you. And if she says, yeah, but I really need him there, you really need the experts. He's not an expert. Oh, but he invests in real estate. Is he making seven figures yet? No. So he's not an expert. He's someone who's smart. And I give it to you. He's probably growing in the business, becoming a big part of the business community, but he's not yet. We are the experts. All right. And we cannot have, this is a closed door meeting. All right. So he cannot be there. Here's the reason why. Other examples, and I'll give you the reason why. The main reason why you guys are probably wondering. Well, I mean, that would be a good person to have there because you can, but it's not. It actually is very dangerous to have a person like that. If somebody says, "My neighbor, I don't have a business partner, I'm not married, but my neighbor always helps me choose, the gardener or." If I want to have to fix the house, he always helps me out with choosing the right people, making sure I'm not going to get scammed, all those things, right? Um, okay, just making sure we don't have no people. So he retired at the age of 55. So he's really smart with because he made some smart. He made a very smart investment early in his years when he was 30, and he invested into this Amway business back then, and he's got not a business partner, not a decision maker, and you have to deter that from happening. I almost feel that if the person is reluctant to not have that person in that conversation, I probably wouldn't waste my time. Here's the gravity of what I'm talking about. Having a person like that, put yourself in the shoes of someone. Let's say an old lady comes to you and says, "Hey, I need, 60-year-old person who's not even that old. says to you, hey, I think you're a really smart guy, and I need you to do me a big favor. This company is going to help me, and I want to listen to what they have to say. And you're going to ask that person, what is this about? This is real estate investing. And you say, yeah, no problem. You think, oh, they're just going to have a chat. Well, you're in for a close. And the person is, first of all, you're not going to be able to get as intimate with the neighbor because the neighbor has nothing to do with the pain and suffering of the lady. Nothing to do with that. So, in once you ask the person in question those questions, this guy is you. Let's say that you're doing the favor. You are going to be looking out for any scams, and you are going to start thinking, "Oh, wait a minute. What kind of question is that? And what kind of question is that?" Here's the reason why he's going to start doubting your questions, even though your questions are going to be profound and very, very relevant to someone's process of improving their lives. The problem is you don't have to critically think in terms of what you've gone through in pain in your life when asked those questions. So when someone asks you questions to help you change, you really feel even grateful for that. But if it's somebody else that has nothing to do with your experience, they're going to be like, why are you asking these questions? These are kind of weird questions. Aren't we talking about real estate? And they're going to start nagging. That third party that's not supposed to be there, who's not a decision maker, they're going to start nagging. Guess what? Because you're not giving them the attention, because they're not the subject matter, they're going to get offended. And you're not, it's really hard, guys. It's really complicated. And let's assume that none of that happens. Let's make believe that that person likes you. They understand what's going on. But here's the problem. Once you make the attempt to close that deal, when it's time to ask for the credit card, guess what? This is not husband and wife. The person who has nothing to do with the person in question or the subject matter is going to always play the hero. What does that mean? You're not going to risk your reputation, your sanity, and the relationship you have to that person by agreeing to make a $20,000 investment, because if lo and behold something goes wrong, guess whose fault that is? So you're always going to play it safe. A false DM or someone who's helping will always play it safe by saying, you know what, let's slow down. Don't invest the money yet. Let's talk about this. I don't know who these people are. I didn't expect that this was going to be $30,000. God, what? Who's gonna give $30,000 over the phone or on video? Trust me, guys. So decision makers that are not supposed to be there will damage, and it's not like they're, you schedule another appointment and they're going to talk about it, and this person might say yes. No, they never say yes. They always discourage the person from making an investment, any type of investment, whether it's $10,000, $30,000, $20,000, doesn't matter, right? So I give you a lot of good gist, right? The gist of this right here, so that you guys don't make mistakes when you're doing this. Learn from me, guys. 24, 22, 24, give or take some years that I've been in this industry, guys. I'm not playing around when I'm telling you this. Take it to the bank, all right? Be preemptive in the way you find objections, and do not be fooled by false decision makers, all right? All right, let me get back to you guys here. Nobody answered any of the questions that I proposed, but that's okay. You guys need to participate, all right? Make me feel like I'm dancing by myself. All right, guys, my name is Jader Salazar. I'm the founder of Black Label Closers. Go to www.blacklabelclosers www.blacklabel-closers.com. Here's the problem, and why I always make a mistake with the dash is we have another website that doesn't have the dash, but we're not using that website, so it's got to be with a dash. Okay, www.blacklabel-closers.com. You can sign up for school, skool.com, become part of the community. Look for Black Label Closers there. Go to Facebook, look, become a member, Black Label Closers. YouTube as well, Black Label Closers. In school, once you become a member, you have the right to access our free course, great information. And if you want to be more aggressive, you can purchase our $97 program, value at $1,000. But I'm trying to help the community, so you can pay $97. If you want to become really aggressive in this and start making money, you can become my partner, and we can share 50% of the profits. And you get to start selling high ticket as you become trained. Learn, earn as you learn. All right, guys? In the meantime, be here every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Black Label Closers. And make no mistake, this is where you're going to become highly effective. All right? Prepare for the future. It is not looking the greatest, but if you make the right choice, it'll probably be really good for you. All right. Thank you very much. Catch you on the flip, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.